And we are live. What's up? Hey, hello everyone out there in Facebook land. This is Andrew Berman, and with me, I got my good buddy, Brian Covey. Brian, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Andrew. It's a good day to be joining and a lot to talk about today.
Yeah, so if those of you who are not familiar, Brian Covey is a vice president, regional production for LoanDepot. We've got introduced to a mutual friend of ours, Jay Duran, the author of 30 Days Thought, the CEO of Culture Matters. We've connected through just mutual interest. So I'm just going to ask you, and I got some questions, industry questions I want to talk about. I want to know, obviously, how LoanDepot is doing, just unbelievable things and unbelievable business in these, unprecedented times.
Yeah.
But starting off, let's go talk about culture. Let's talk about culture, because I know obviously something that you are obsessed with culture. This is something that's a LoanDepot thing. Talk to us a little bit about what culture means to you.
Yeah, culture to me is, if you were to explain culture, people should be able to feel and know behaviors and how people interact with each other, regardless of what's happening, good times and bad times. I think cultures really are more amplified in times like this, but so you can find out, was the culture strong, or was that culture maybe a facade of when times are really good? It's easy to feel good. And I think what we've done really well at LoanDepot, and I love the vision that Anthony Shea has of really making home ownership something that's a priority. We know that's important for the U.S. economy and for families, but having a spirit of entrepreneurship has really been the crux that I think, if you look at the innovations that are happening, it's by companies that have that in their DNA. And that was one of the large reasons why I joined, was that entrepreneurship, that local ownership. While we might be a larger company, we operate very local and very small. We're multi-channel, as you know. And what I've seen is leadership right now matters more than ever. So Andrew, I would say, when I look at our culture, those are the things that stand out to me, is the leadership side, the entrepreneurial side. And recently, I would tell you the caring side of our team, and the way that we, this not only the pandemic we're having with the COVID-19, but in Nashville, a few weeks ago, we got hit by a pretty devastating tornado in Middle Tennessee.
Thank goodness.
And our team rallied around each other and how they were serving each other. That to me that's what culture was. Like when you put words around it, you can't even describe how people showed up for each other. And so I'm very proud of our team, and really what I would say is the culture we're continuing to build.
So, when you say entrepreneur, because I want to go back to the root of your statement there, because that led to me last night. I think entrepreneur, I think of, I'm able to do what I want. As an entrepreneur, as a business owner, while I don't want to stay on other people's, stay in my lane, as they say, step on other people's toes in my organization. But as an entrepreneur, I could do what I want. And that's that means I'm gonna screw up a bunch of times. But when you're at LoanDepot, you can't screw up. There's no one of the reasons why you guys were so prepared for this, because there was not an option. To have a pause on production, for a month, a week, a day, would be devastating to the company. Not devastating, but it would be impactful. So how can you be at such a large company like LoanDepot and act as an entrepreneur?
Yes, I would go back to the statement you made. Look, there's no company and there's no person, I believe, that's perfect out there. And so while I think we get a lot right, I think what we do well is we adapt and change quickly. And so what's happened in this market has really exposed the ability for companies and even leaders to take information that's coming at you at such a rapid rate right now, and take that, discern through it, and then make the right decision, and being okay that tomorrow that may not be the best decision and you need to retract and pivot from there. And so I think, to me, that's what the entrepreneurial spirit means, is it's okay to try things. And I would tell you, we actually have more of a spirit of, we've rolled out our own mellow technology. And there's definitely been iterations and things that we rolled out and it didn't work exactly like we wanted. We just made it better. You keep innovating with technology, as Anthony Scher, our owner and CEO, would say, is technology is not a destination. It is a journey. And so
Yeah.
through this, I think companies also have life cycles that you have to continually evolve. And so I think that's where we've really leaned in right now, is in this fast pace, the most change we've seen, that although it feels a little bit like '08, and I know we talked about that, it's not exactly like that. There's several fundamental differences to it. Our ability at whatever company you're at, or leaders, to adapt and to lead your team with clarity and be okay not having all the answers, but to step out. I think that's what's going to differentiate people. And so to answer your question too about how we operate locally, is guys like myself are on the ground, that they empower us. I think of that word quite often, of we're empowered to make very local decisions. We're very much in connection with our operations team, which right now is crucial to make sure we take that refinance customer pipeline that was the surge,
Yeah.
balance out what's come in, which we know purchases are still strong in our markets, and being partners with your operations team and processing, underwriting, closing and funding, your secondary team. Those are the partnerships that I'm seeing you've got to work together and navigate through together. And I've been saying to a lot of people, we're stronger together, we're better together. And that's how we operate. And I think that just drives back to what the culture is about.
That's strong, stronger together. Listen, I believe 100%. We are stronger together as an industry. I just wrapped up like 10 minutes ago, before you and I started talking. I did an interview with Austin Nemec, the executive vice president of QLMS. That's their phrase is stronger together. But like this means a very, very important thing. So I got a question actually from one of my buddies. Actually, it's in the chat. So I'm gonna throw you some questions. I hope this is okay.
Let's do it.
So what is your plan for servicing, since most investors have pulled out? And I don't know if that's something that you can, because your focus is on production. And I don't know if that's something you even wanted to answer, but feel free.
Yeah, so I'll jump in. So it's not my area of expertise. We have a great secondary team, and then we have a great servicing team. And while we do service, last I saw was probably around 60-70%. We're a direct lender, so many of those will get sold to other servicers as well. We play in different channels and spaces there. And as the market's ebbed and flowed, what I've experienced, we've had really clear communication. And what Anthony said the other day, and then John Bianchi, one of our leaders, was we're all staying in our lane. And I thought that was an important comment, and it kind of ties to this question of, Brian, we need you to lead this with your team. This is the part I need you to own and dominate and make sure that your team's taken care of. We have people in these departments. And that's when you really trust your team, and you've got a strong culture. Back to your original question of, we've got really good people in great departments that we want to let them run them. But I would say that's going to be something we have to figure out, right? I mean, you look at where servicing is being challenged right now with payoffs coming at a rapid rate. We've had influx on the market happening. You got investors that don't have a lot of certainty about, what's that investment going to be like. So I think it's a challenge that continues to unfold.
So, I mean, that being said, I'm wondering, how do we share this message with our community, the stay in the lane message? Like what's the best way actually that you tell your loan officers to share that message?
Yeah, so I go back to a Stephen Covey quote: "Keep the main thing the main thing." And in each of our roles, there is a main thing right now that you have to identify. And let's start with that first interaction with a customer, where they're probably going to work with a loan consultant. The main thing is to educate, inform, and guide them through their process and give them guidance about what's best for them short-term and long-term. There's tools that are available to do that, but I really believe that's why the customer came to us in the first place, was because they needed our expertise to guide them through the process. So staying in your lane means at that point, look, I own that part of the process, right? The part that I don't own is I'm not technically the underwriter, although I know my guidelines and I know what product to put them in and I know what's happening through that. The reality is, last time I checked, there's nobody that's running a model that has loan consultants and loan originators originating and underwriting their loan.
Yeah.
So we need to partner with underwriting and tell the story and put together a great loan file so that when it goes through underwriting and we work with processing and closing, that all of those partners and even third-party providers we're all on the same page, right? We're rowing in the same direction. I think about that as kind of the piece that we need. And if you think about your role today, find out where you need to lean in on. And we talked about this the other day. The problem in our industry today isn't necessarily finding customers. Maybe a year ago it was. You were like,
Yeah.
okay, I've got to go online and figure out my digital strategy. I got to do buy leads. I've got to do open houses. I've got to go to realtor, broker meetings. Well, guess what? Those are all shut down for the most part, except the online side of the business. So I'm not hearing people struggling to get customers. However, they are trying to figure out how to navigate once they have a customer. How do they take them through the process, whether they are purchasing or refinancing their home? And I think that's how I would look at staying in our lane of, it's not my job to decide things that are in secondary or products that that we want to look at, right?
Yeah.
My job is to lead my team.
And the other thing, like we can't be consumed by things that we can't impact, So that by staying in our lane, and focusing on what we can focus on, which is basically our highest producing activities. For your loan officers, what should they be focusing on? Like, you're a loan officer out there. What activities should you be doing right now? As opposed to staying glued to the news and trying actually to wonder what's going to happen with MBSs. Like, what should originators be doing out there?
Yeah, three things. One, I have really been talking about this for quite some time, but having an online brand is the most important thing. That if you didn't build it before this, you're well aware in this stage that for people to find you today, they're not going to find you through when you would go out and make face-to-face sales calls. You've got to be digitally present and aware, and I need to be able to find you in a way that I can connect with your story. And so being relatable and authentic and sharing your message of why should I work with you? Why are you the best person in your market? You need to be able to convey that at a high level and include that in your messaging and your branding. So I'd say that's number one, is get clear on your brand and the message that's out there. Number two, we have really been looking at, how do you acquire customers in your business model today? Is that through leads? Is that through realtor referrals? Is that through past customers that continue to refer to you? I would tell you to do an autopsy on your business today and look back at where those customers came from. And is that something that's going to be viable for the future? And figure out, is that something that is going to stand through this storm that's here? And I believe there's many ways to get to customers so that they can find you in attracting right customers. But you need to figure that out in your market. I think it could vary as well. Small towns, our region ranges from, small towns, I think about Hattiesburg, Mississippi, up to DC. Those markets do not operate the same way today. And so think local and how you can serve your community and show up and really be there. And the third, I would say, is learn new skills. This time has given us an opportunity to learn, really, gaps in our business have been exposed.
Yeah,
and whether that's through communication, your CRM follow-up that you've made custom, that you're able to actually stay engaged and involved, whether that's your pipeline management, whether that is how you actually have set up your team, right? And the ways that you've looked at this, I think those are the things, if I were to give you those would be the areas that I would lean in on today. And what we've learned from all of that, if you were to put a ring around all of it, say relationships matter.
Yeah.
So we can't use the excuse, and I would encourage and challenge everybody, is we can't use the excuse we can't see people in person right now as an excuse to not connect with them. We have video, we have a phone, we can send video messages. I'm doing a lot of audio messages with our teams. We are sending video messages out on a more regular basis and communicating what's happening. And I would just say lean in on the relationships. And the tactic you could use is think about your top 25 referral sources, referral partners, people that you would consider, I pick up the phone and they would take my call.
Yeah.
You need to be reaching out to them on a regular basis. Check in on them. See how they're doing. See how their family's doing. This crisis is actually impacting a lot of people, both mentally and physically. And now we're seeing, obviously in the job market with layoffs happening, is just be human and connect with people. And they're going to remember that long after. When this passes, they're going to remember that you were the person that actually cared. And so just be genuine.
Yeah, listen, I mean, you have a bond with your borrowers. Like when you are sharing every bit of personal information that you could possibly share, so you can get that loan and you can get the best possible rate that you could possibly get. You've built that bond with that person, whether you realize it or not. That borrower has that with you as a loan originator, and to reach out to them now when you're not looking for anything else besides just saying, "Are you good? Everything good? Is everything okay?"
Yeah.
But we did earlier this week. We did a Facebook Live with Alex from Sales Boomerang,
Yeah.
and he talked about actually how to actually talk about some of the triggers. Like because listen, right now people are seeing triggers happen. Like they're seeing actually refi opportunities that are happening, and he shared actually how to actually have a soft call saying, listen, hey, listen, just this came up. We don't have to do this now, but it's just important. It's reaching out to people. As Allison just said, just being human. So another question just came up. While our economy seems to be in turmoil, do you think there's an opportunity for consumers to recover from the financial difficulty with refis in this low rate environment? If so, aren't we in the mortgage professional an important solution for consumers looking forward? Yeah,
Oh, great. I mean,
yeah,
100%. And that's the message we've been sharing from our CEO all the way through is right now, it's not only responsibility, but we need to lean in and show up right now because we are an industry that can make a significant impact on, we've always seen that restructuring debts is typically one of the best ways to get your equity position and to look at your short-term and long-term debts and actually figure out you're in the right spot. And this could be an opportunity for families to take a step back and get a trusted advisor to look at their situation. And we've been advising this. Look, we're the ones that are going to be able to help people because it's
yeah,
not always, we think about refinances and it's not always about that lower interest rate. Well, while that might be a driving force that might help you, there's been several, and I'll tell you today, I've had 3 text messages from friends going, hey man, we've been looking at things. We're looking at consolidating, restructuring some debt. And actually 2 of them, we quickly ran numbers and their best option is to move to a 15-year. It really is like where they are today and their situation obviously is unique to them, but that's the guidance we could give somebody. And we are the experts. And so we need to help. This is going to be, I believe, not only the real estate community educating what's happening in the local market, but the mortgage professional industry as a whole uniting together to educate on why it's still a great time to buy. And what I believe is renting versus owning still has fundamental differences. And in most communities today, you need to run those numbers for yourself and have an educated decision and not operate out of fear and panic. The fact that the news says things are going on and they create this crisis environment in a way that depending on what news source you're pulling from or what feeds you get on Facebook, look, we owe it to ourselves to really do due diligence. And that's where we are going to be able to differentiate as professionals versus those that are just interested in doing this.
wow. You said something before that I don't know why it's just sticking in my head. It just popped back in my head. You said actually go out to your market and let them know you're the best. So how do you do that without? Because first off, everyone thinks they're the best.
Yep.
Like I'm gonna guess actually to say of the few dozen people that are right now on the call right now, those are the originators are going to probably, and I know some originators around here that are cranking out over 100 loans a month. They're all going to say that they are the best.
Yeah.
So how do you put that message out there of saying I am the best? But considering 2 things. First off, everyone says you're the best, and number 2, in this environment, how do you put that out? Like how do you go out there and kind of boast your skills and look appropriate considering that listen, I right before we started I just got a call from a friend of mine that says her husband just came down with a virus, so like that's what we're dealing with.
Yeah. So 2 things I would think about. I was listening as you said that and conversations I've had recently. I'll just pull some wisdom out of those. And one is when you're talking about being the best and being unique in your own skills that are there, I come from the school of there's an abundance mindset. Currently, I don't know of any lender that has double-digit market share nationally, although there's some pockets across the country that some lenders have really leaned in. The reality is if you have an abundance mindset, you realize that you can get your fair share and serve enough customers to meet your goal and your expectations of what you want to achieve, while the person next door to you may work at a different company, maybe on your same team, different channel. It doesn't matter. If you come from that mindset, what I found is we can learn from each other in this. What I'm saying is we've shifted into more of moved out of a competitive season and stage to a collaborative. And that's where we can learn from each other, because right now what we're learning from a bank to a broker to an independent to a company like LoanDepot that has multi-channel, we can all learn from each other. At the end of the day, it's about serving the customer and giving them sound advice and guiding them through. And so what I would say is you're leaning in on your messages. What is it that you're great at? Are you great at first-time home buyers? Fantastic. Do you have some type of expertise that you personally are a veteran, or you know VA loans so well that you're able to help out not only our active duty, but our veteran community? Huge market that needs to be served, and I still believe is underserved. Are you someone that deals in high net worth clients, that's your expertise? You get, tons of pages of tax returns and you're excited about that coming in. What is your niche? Are you a problem solver, right? Do you work with new construction? I think people, as we think about that, we oftentimes fall into the trap of me saying that I'm the best means I have to put you down to be that. That's not true. That's actually, I don't believe that. So I would challenge that thought process. The second part to it, I had a great conversation with Brittany Hodak the other day that I'll plug her. And she really talked about creating super fans and how we connect with people and how you tell your story is there's a point of intersection between your story and my story. And if I can make that connection with you, now we're more likely to probably do something together now or in the future. And so connecting your story, that's why you got to be on social. You've got to be sharing and be vulnerable and put your message out.
Interesting. So we can talk about being vulnerable. This is something that, listen, I've learned a lot from being about putting the vulnerability out and sharing it from our good buddy Jay Duran. I mean, there's no question about. I do these weekly Facebook lives with a friend of ours, Paul Lucido, and they're so uncomfortable. I mean, I can't tell you, and we're just sharing our vulnerability. So how do you personally? Because listen, you're Brian, you're well polished. You're well spoken. You've got you're running actually one of the largest regions for LoanDepot. Talk to us. How do you actually share your vulnerabilities?
Yeah. So one thing I would lead with, one of my beliefs that I found as I came up as a competitive athlete and played in college and professional soccer. So most of you guys know that story there. What I learned through playing sports and you face adversity is I really believe everybody needs a coach in life. You need a coach, you need a mentor in your life that can help you through those, because being vulnerable with the masses, look, it's still uncomfortable for me. Sometimes even, I was telling you earlier, we were filming 2 podcasts, we were doing things. And there's times where I'm learning. And so I found surrounding myself with the people that can help me on that journey and accelerate my growth, and being okay to tell your team right now or a customer that, you know what, I don't know what the market's going to be in 6 months.
Yeah.
And being okay with that. And I would come back to the other part that I learned from athletics, and that's just where I pull a lot of just personal experience, is the only way that I got better at playing soccer and kicking with both feet and receiving the ball and passing and different drills and things is to do it. I've yet to meet a person that said, hey, you know what, Andrew, I want to get better at running. And they never went and ran, and they magically in a year were a better runner, right? Like, I look at that and go, if you want to be a better speaker or you want to do more videos, you need to lean in and start somewhere. And so we've given our team that permission with our group, is it's okay to do those videos. We share a lot internally, trying to create that sharing culture. And my advice would just to be that I think that's where your connection point that we talked about earlier, that's where your story is going to connect, because we all have insecurities and vulnerabilities of things we share. And, I laugh, my wife probably busts my chops the most, which is why I love her the most, is she keeps me grounded to where I don't have too many highs, and I don't get too low. There's a flow state that I think exists within there, that when you're doing what you should be doing and in that kind of passion zone, that it's okay to be vulnerable, but you have to lean in and do it, right? Are you interested? Or are you committed? Committed people show up, and right now they're actually leaning in more than they were before this, because it could be one of the biggest opportunities to serve and to improve on your skills and come out the other side of this tunnel and be an even better version of yourself. I believe that.
I couldn't agree with you more. No question about it. People are just like, there's so many people that are learning, that are absorbing and doing what they can to becoming better versions of themselves. I want to get Emily, but she just brought this up. Relationships do matter. I'm having a much deeper and more meaningful conversations thanks to an industry that has been the ability and responsibility to make a difference through collaborative efforts. Hashtag abundance mindset.
Yes.
Yeah. So next, we've got Allison just wrote, I found that the best sellers are those that are honest. Don't try to upsell and offer products that don't make sense. Be honest. Talk to people like you would with your friends or family, 100%. And then and Alex just wrote, authenticity is the best practice, right?
Yeah. Yeah, we were talking about that. As just left an interview. We were talking to Renee Rodriguez, and he's a guy I would recommend everybody that's listening in, and whether you're live or listening to recording, he actually has done a Lighthouse series, and I'll promote him on this, is because I do believe he's leading change and behavioral change, and he has a unique gift that I really believe those that are listening in, whether you're in the housing, finance, real estate industry or not, it's applicable to being a parent. It's applicable to being a brother, a sister, just a good member in society now. And I really left that call thinking, wow, I still have some things I need to lean on as a leader and stand even more firm in that space, and to be part of the solution and not part of what's fueling some of the negativity and noise. And I think our brains sometimes are wired to get pulled into those things, whether it's on social media or the news. And let's be the beacon of light, what a lighthouse is, and share the truth.
Oh, that's awesome. Jay just added to this. Authenticity is irrelevant without awareness. Joseph Stalin was authentically an a-hole.
It's funny. We just talked about that as well. And so just to piggyback on that, is we talked about, right now, that could be one of the shifts we see that, when emotional intelligence came out several years ago, one of my leaders gave me that book, Emotional Intelligence 2.0. And I remember going through it, taking the assessment, and you beat yourself up. Your first reaction is shame, right? Like, oh my gosh, like I'm not really aware of this. I'm not aware of that. It's a process as you learn. And so, Jay's obviously practicing this, but awareness. And what's cool about the fact that this all ties together by sharing on Facebook Lives, by doing videos, by being aware of how you're communicating and showing up every day. You can take action from there.
Yeah.
Right. If you're not aware, it's like people tell me, I don't watch my videos back, or I don't listen to the podcast that I was on. And I'm like, man, that's the best way to critique yourself and to take an audit of what, you did well. What things do you say? Where do you go when you get nervous or fearful in a conversation or uncomfortable? Like, just be aware of that and okay in your own skin with it. It's who you are.
Yeah. Yeah. That's great. That's, finding that the awareness that is what leads to the authenticity. So then Mike Brennan just wrote this, and this is kind of going along the lines of what you're saying as far as find that cross section where your story intersects. But people want to do business with people they like and trust. That's it's comes down to that. And Nate Joma wrote this. It's important that all of us in the financial services business, or the mortgage side, investment side, need to be an educator to our clients and to our sphere of influence. Sharing knowledge with them can go a lot farther than just commiserating the negative. Man, that is true. Yep.
Collaborate. Andrew, think about, so my brother-in-law is in financial services with a bank here in Tennessee, and you know, it's funny because he's in the wealth management side and we're talking through this and they're dealing with different issues than us, but I'm collaborating with them right now because really if you treat the person as almost the whole person theory, think of it that way, right? We're not just talking about a mortgage, we're talking about investments and long-term wealth planning and things that, look, this is the best time to collaborate with your CPAs, your financial planners, you know, trusted advisors and other industries. This could be the time that we really see that cross-pollination of industries that are in the financial services come together, and we create a better experience that's not so
Yeah.
monoline and focused on a product.
Yeah.
That's,
Which,
that's what
by the way, it is absolutely ridiculous that we are collecting all this information about actually a borrower and not having conversations about, hey, listen, you should be talking to a wealth advisor. You should be talking to a financial planner. Okay, you just bought this house and you're having a kid. Let's get you some life insurance. Like, it's just like, it's like we're focusing on one thing. And the financial planners and the financial advisors are like, hey, I should do more business with mortgage people. And mortgage people are told, actually, I should do more business with financial advisors, financial planners. Yet they're just like, they're just not meeting, and they really need to be more collaborative, like you've taken with your brother-in-law, you said, right?
Yeah, yeah. And this could be the season that we do that. So I would say, you know, those are things I see that you start sharing that and think about how you could actually take action on it is right now doing your own Facebook Live or video that you've done through Zoom and have someone come on and educate in a different industry than you're in, but ties together to really educate people. And I brought this up with our team and I'll just share it is, you know, having a real estate agent and maybe a financial planner and someone else that you want to bring in, and all of you collaborate and share information about what's happening versus the panic. And the news is only going to be relevant if it's backed by some truth there that they trust the person. So I love, you know, Mike Brennan's one of my favorite guys, is leading by example himself. And he hits on it, you know, like, and trust. But people are looking to us because they do know us. They do like us because they're, you know, engaging there and they trust us. It's time for us to show up and spread what we know to be factual and truthful there to help. We'll help pull this to the other side faster.
Yeah. Yep, that's for sure. So I'm going to read Jesse McBride's comment here. The loan officer who continue to succeed will be the ones that stepped out of their comfort zones during this time. There is a different world ahead of us, both within the industry and within our daily lives. Those of us that have been around for a bit know that change is inevitable, but adapting, learning to continue to grow yourself is the key to business, or business is key. So yeah, that's 100%. And then Jay had we increase our awareness when we are able to discourse with those who share opposing beliefs. You are both leaders in this regard. So.
Yeah, and I think that's okay right now. You know, Jay shared something with me the other day that I think would be good for the group to hear, and it stuck. It's okay to have a differing view and a different point of view because of your experiences and what you believe, and you don't have to attack the person. You don't have to attack the company. And what I would say is everybody that's on the call, whether you're live or listening to it, is agree to stop the noise and the childish behavior of, it's okay to attack another person in a company. It's okay to have different points of view. That's cool, guys. Like, look, that's how we grow and we progress. If someone doesn't have the same point of view and they say, hey, man, what about this? This is a different perspective. But without having to challenge and be the negative attacking a person. And I think that's where Jay really struck a chord. And I've actually tried to do this. So, Jay, I have tried to do this in several conversations of I listen to what someone's saying. And if I don't agree with it, I say, hey, you know, I'm not sure I heard you correctly. Here's what I heard you say. Now, I actually think this, or I believe this. What do you think about that? And man, I've had some of the best conversations with people. So thank you, Jay. You challenged me to step up my game, and I would just pass that on.
Yeah, because previously, if you didn't say, you just, because listen, you can be opposing, say I disagree, or if you just don't say anything, you know, say, oh yeah, you are actually almost lying, you know, through omission. It's you know, if you don't share actually, you know, your beliefs, you know, and even actually, and learning the right way to share it, learning the right way so you're not confrontational, not saying what I'm saying is right, what you're saying can't be right. But we both have different beliefs. So, listen, there's no way actually that all religions have it right. Like, let's just call a spade a spade. So either all religions are wrong or one religion is wrong, but something, that's our belief, like whatever religion actually you were raised with, and to attack someone else's belief structure and everything that they've raised to believe is something actually that is a powerful thing and a big attack against someone. And when you're talking about someone's livelihood, when you're talking about something that they spend, listen, Brian, and maybe you're not doing it now, but during the peak of actually, you working your butt off when you were building your career, when you were out there, how many hours did you work a day?
Oh, it depends on which phase of my life. I feel like it's shifted quite a bit, but I mean, there are days that you remember showing up and you easily had 12, 14-hour days where you're trying to fit it all in, and you get to a point where you can't fit it all in and you realize, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, putting in the hard work and the grinding. And
so, and my point was, when you were doing those 14-hour days, if someone actually said it's crap, what you're doing is wrong, that's a big attack. And we need to be mindful of that when we're actually dealing with an industry, especially as it's all about collaboration. Like you said, like Quicken says, we're stronger together. We are going to come out of the end of this. And like I forget who said it, but someone just said in the chat actually how we're going to come out of the end of this, stronger as an industry.
Yes.
Those actually who are leaders who are being out there. We got Alex Jimenez just said, "What's up, Covey?"
Oh, nice. That's a good group you got out there. And it's funny. I got a text a little while ago, so I just got to share. So our CEO, Anthony Shea, has been really a leader in not only the industry but even outside the industry. He's been on the news lately, and you've seen.
Yeah.
And that calming presence, I've started to see leaders emerge. And he texted me, and he's like, "Hey, BC, just hope you're safe and healthy. Just checking in on you. Don't hesitate to reach out with any questions. This crazy market. We're in great shape. We're going to rock this market." And I was just checking in back on him, like, "Hey, how are you and your girls and the family and all that?" And he's like, "I'm safe. I'm healthy. I'm clear. I've got a sharp mind, and we're driving forward. Keep doing what you're doing." And
That's awesome.
I only bring that up as like, those are the little things. Don't disregard or think a simple text, audio message, or touch point can't make someone feel better and give them energy. And my feeling, I mean, Andrew, right when I got that text, I was like, "Oh, that's cool. Like, you're thinking of me," and you didn't hesitate to act on. I think we all need, when someone comes across our mind that we know we need to uplift in this time right now, reach out and be the person that can lift them up. You might be the only person that day that actually encourages them right now.
Yeah. And as we're going bat poop crazy, sometimes some of us being cooped up in our house, that definitely helps. And I forgot, like, one of the main reasons why I wanted to have you on here was to talk about, your transition actually to going actually, this the new norm. And Allison just kind of reminded me of that. So here we are, like we're like almost 40 minutes into this, and I totally forgot one of my main reasons. So what Allison said here is, what has been LoanDepot's biggest challenge going through this? But I really want to know. So I want to know that, and I want to know, like, how was the transition of going from where you're working in office, where I'm assuming most people in headquarters were working in office. I would just love to know. And I'm really also sad to know that no one's going down the mellow slide these days. I mean, that's even worse.
Hey, so know this: when we are able to open the mellow slide back up, there will be a celebration and a party, and it will involve people going down the mellow slide.
Yes.
I may have to pull out a couple videos when I've gone down, because obviously I've gone down a few times. But let's start with, and I'll start with the company piece. And I'm really proud of the way our team, leadership-wise, has adapted. And many of our workforce and operations and sales team was already equipped to work from home. And so I think we had done a good job of already doing that. We had processors, underwriters, closers, and funders. A lot of people were already remote, working from home. And you've got a laptop and you can set up. So we were there. although we had to position and move several thousand team members once everything started really coming out in the news that we knew we needed to make that transition. We did move several thousand team members very swiftly and very quickly, and we didn't really feel the bump. And so I applaud, anybody that's on or is listening in from our facilities team, leadership team, how they transition that, because that was not an easy feat. And I'm sure it wasn't an easy decision to shift. And now we're all leading in a remote world. And so our team's done very well. I'll tell you where I think we positioned ourselves well is obviously we own our own technology. And I think that's helped us navigate through. We were on a call this morning with Tammy Richards, who heads up not only all of our operations, but also is one of our leaders over the IT. And we view those two things as integrated. Many times you have operations and technology. They have to be this.
Yeah.
And
well, it's usually like operations, and then they bolt on the technology. So like
boom.
Operations, and then so operation drives the technology. But yeah, like I love that it's integrated in the two. I like that.
Oh, it's huge. And we're at the table right now, with Fannie and Freddie, and obviously working this week, big announcement on drive-by and desk reviews on appraisals to make sure that we keep up with appraiser shortage and getting out there. And so we were really one of the advocates for that to come out. And so that's good that we're starting to see changes start to happen. You're starting to see, we've been really big on hybrid e-close, and I think you'll start to see this more, and you're going to have digital notaries. You're going to see technology pushed, and the innovations are going to be accelerated at a rate that many people might get a little uncomfortable. But I think we all need to be aware that our industry for many years, call it what it is, we've lagged behind. We have now a call to action. Whatever your technology and your platform is at your current company, what I've been sharing as a leader and leaders out there is it's our job to help our team know why and help them get adoption rates high. So no longer can we say we have this online app. No longer can we say we are able to do hybrid e-close, self-disclosures, desktop reviews on appraisals, digital income and asset verifications. No longer can we talk about the tools. It's time to take action and use them and lower the cost to do loans, lower the time it takes to do them, and really take this as a call to action as an industry of how do we streamline this process that we know has additional steps. So that's where we really believe we're going to be a leader in that, and we want to encourage other companies and our peers to do the same. And I know many are doing that, and so that's good to see. That's why I'd say from a company standpoint, the technology is going to be really a fundamental for us that we look up. It's going to be the DNA and the backbone of how we accelerate how loans are done today, reduce cost, and deliver a fabulous experience and delight our customers.
Yeah. Listen, and by having the technology, having it in place, having that smooth transition, is why, so you and I talked about one of the days where it was like one of the ugliest days, where just the markets were just getting beat up, I think 17 non-QM lenders crapped the bed that day. And I'm talking to you with this calmness in your voice, okay, well, we can get through this. You're doing unbelievable volume. You're taking tons of applications in. Hopefully some of that stuff is going to close on time.
We're going to have a record March, and I'm super excited. Our team is going to set unprecedented record, not only in the refinance, but we also significantly up in purchase year over year, and April is going to be even larger. So despite all of the noise and things that we hear, rumors and non-QM's gone out here and the market's done this, that, and the other in a day. Winners find a way to win, and championship teams show up in the face of adversity. And that's what I've always been honored to serve alongside leaders that believe that. That's how we roll.
Yeah. So a great man just recently said something. He said, talking about staying in your lane. And that's it. Focus on what you're doing. Stay focused on that. You got Alex just shared this 100% agree. Talk about great leadership. That great leadership will help the morale stay up and keep your staff on point. When leaders believe, people will follow. Which 100% agree. Yeah. Really could not said that any better. So. Listen, man, I really appreciate you taking your time to kind of to share with us your story. But before we wrap this up, I want to just ask you one quick thing. Talk about actually, because I know you're in the studio, you're in the office today. You were going to do actually a quick recording for your podcast. But tell us, how are you? What are some positive things that you've gotten from this on a personal level? Like I know myself, I'm spending more time with my family, all those great things. Talk to us about some of the positive things that have hit Brian Covey, the husband, the father, the son. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I really believe this is going to be a time that we look back and we're going to be thankful and grateful for the opportunity to slow down and re-engage with our family units. And that family can be, your family, like obviously my wife, Nicole, and our 3 kids. And for some of you that, if you're not married, you've got family that's there. I really believe it's going to be a time that we look back and we're going to create memories during this. And it's going to be a time that, yes, there are things going on outside our control, but we're going to realize and get back to center, which is what matters is taking care of our house. And by taking care of our house, we're able to inspire and take care of other houses around us. But I found it really fun for me, and I'll just share, this is a humorous thing. Last week, I'm with my daughter and my 2 sons, and my daughter gets me on TikTok. Well, she educates me very quickly on how TikTok can be educational, and it can also be one of those entertainment things. So I thought, wow, okay. But now I'm connecting up with her in a new way. We're playing board games. My wife and I sat down last night, and Nicole, I applaud her. She said, hey, now that you're working from home so much, basically every day, let's talk about a schedule. Like, what time's dinner? What are we doing for lunch? And man, I thought, wow, like there's times that I wish I could be more present. And this is a time for me really to lean in and be there for not only my family, that's my direct family, but my family within our company at LoanDepot in Region 9, and really the industry. And this is where leaders are going to step up and realize that you can be a surrogate leader in the sense of someone doesn't have to be on my team or at my company to realize I can have a positive influence. And so for me, man, I'm learning every day. We've got the home gym set up, and that's been cool. I love working out, and thank goodness we had something set up. But taking care of ourselves mentally and physically has been really fun. And I think we're going to look back on this time and realize that this was a time for us to slow down, get back to center and what matters. And I go back to the Stephen Covey quote, keep the main thing the main thing.
I think we have to end it right there. That's we can't say anything else. That's beautiful. Right. You have that mic off to the side. You should just drop it now, because that was perfect. All right. Okay. Brian, thank you so much. Really, really appreciate it. Thank you for being the awesome leader that you are, sharing your ideas, sharing everything that's going on, in your organization, in your family life, and we really appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you for having me. I hope this inspires, whether you're listening live or on the recording. My intent is really to inspire people every day and know that you can make a difference. So let's go out there and make a difference together.
Fantastic, Brian. All right. Thank you, everyone, for watching. I'm Andrew Burns.